Hey, what's good, everybody? It's cjbeatz. We're back at it again today. Today, I'm going to show you guys how you can create your own sample packs right after this. So some of you producers might just be starting out and not even knowing what a sample pack is. So essentially, a sample pack is a collection of music that you could either sell to other producers or give away to your producer buddies for collaboration purposes. Sample packs are an awesome way for beat makers and producers to have an additional income source rather than just selling beats. You could be selling beats to artists, and you could be selling sample packs to beat makers and producers. So this way you have two potential income sources. So the first thing I'm going to show you guys is how you can actually create these samples, and then I'm going to show you how to export all these files so you can make folder structures out of them. All right, let's go ahead and create this sample. I'm going to challenge myself today and just use stock sounds in Logic Pro X to do this. So I'm going to start an instance of Alchemy here on this particular track, and let's go over to the mallet section and just browse through some sounds and see what inspires us. And this is the usual process. I always try to find a sound first that inspires me to make something. Okay, so maybe we could come up with a melody with this clean, cool vibes, it's called. Just changing up the sound a little bit here using these buttons on Alchemy. And let's go ahead and create a new MIDI region like so. We'll write this in, let's do G sharp natural minor today. Select our brush tool, find G sharp's right there, and I'm going to put in a chord. Make this an inverted chord. That's kind of nice. We'll go ahead and copy and paste that over. I'm just going to find maybe a top melody I can add to this. So what I like to do is create multiple instances so that I have, these different variations I can work with when I'm coming up with the arrangement. So let's add this top melody maybe to this. So I like that. What I'm going to do here is start adding some effects to that sound. I want it to be a little more, wider in the stereo image. So I'm going to use some imaging here, use a stereo spread, and I'm going to shape my stereo spread so that the anything above maybe 2K starts spreading out in the left and right speakers. In addition to that, what I'm going to do is add a reverb to this. I like using the silver verb. I'm going to start layering this now, and I'm going to add another instance of alchemy to this. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to do is just copy and paste that over like so. Initially, I bring the volume down because I don't want it to clash with that first main melody, main vibe that I already created. And we're going to find a sound that matches. Maybe we could do some pads now to layer it with. Sound selection is a big part of everything, so finding the sounds that really complement each other well is very important when you're creating these sample packs. And sometimes it can take time to find the right sound that, would complement that other sound, but it makes a huge difference if you take that time. At this point, you could also turn off your metronome if it gets too annoying, because you already have the main vibe, main bounce, basically. I'm not going to edit this part because I want you guys to see how long I actually take trying to find the sound that complements the other one. See, I like that sound. So, never limit yourself with the sounds. Like if you find something that might work, you could shape it to make it even work better. So EQs are your best friend for that. First things first, let's remove the low end on that. I like that sound, but I want it to be a lot wider. So I'm going to use another silver verb on that. Bring the wet up a lot. I'm just trying to see what sounds better. High end, mids. I'm just complementing that other sound. I'm not like, drowning it out or anything, because I wanted to add multiple layers. So this way, we could fill out. So this way we could really fill out that sound. I'm going to let's do another instance of alchemy. And let me find something, maybe we could find, I don't know, some choirs or something like that. Once you've layered like 3 sounds like that, you could think about bringing in a bass. And, this synth bass, when you're structuring your samples like this, the synth bass is going to probably be used in pre-hooks or hooks. So again, same process, try to find something that matches. Let's go to basses and see what we got here. Quantize that. Come back to the EQ, maybe cut those mids out. Maybe emphasize that bass a little bit. So what I'm going to do is basically come in like so. Maybe on the second bass, we can add a few accent notes here and there. We'll loop that section off. You know, I'm always trying to keep it interesting. So producers are going to look for that. If they find like you really take your time with the samples and, you know, you add variation here and there, it really makes a huge difference. So now I'm already thinking about what I'm going to do here for that verse part. I'm going to switch up the sound completely, but then just, you know, keep that same vibe maybe. That first initial melody that we made. Okay, cool. So now just bring this over here like so. Let's find another sound to work with. Go back to mallets. Start randomizing what we got. So that might match what we already have. Let's see how that transitions. Yeah, it's nice for a, maybe we can even layer that with another sound. So what I'm going to do is just find one more sound here that would match that, maybe some keys. Yeah, so what we can maybe do is have this one octave down and this one octave up. can maybe do is arpeggiate one of these guys. It's probably good to arpeggiate this one just by the sound of it. So let's drop an arpeggiator on top of that. Bring the rate down 1/8. And again, think about, structuring it so that it builds up. Let's play what we have so far and then see how everything sounds. Somebody add some drums to this, it's going to be over. It's crazy. And don't be afraid to reuse MIDI now. Like, you could bring this one down here maybe to where the arpeggiator is with that other sound. And then we'll just layer it again. We don't even need this one here because, that sample's pretty much done. We might want to add some effects to this now, but that might be it. So now maybe we can add some individual effects to these and make it a little more interesting here. Could try using Logic's pedal board. See if we can add some character to some of these sounds here. Sounds pretty interesting. Maybe we can cut a little bit of that 2K out. That 500, yeah. So after it's going through the pedal board, I got another EQ on it to cut out the low end and then dip down that 600 range, that 540 range right there. See what it sounds like over here. that one's already kind of distorted, this Lemon Fields one, but I'm going to add another effect to this here. Let's try another pedal board. Okay, so maybe we'll drop a phase onto that. Okay, so I think the sample is pretty much done with. The first thing I'm going to do is bounce all of this into place like so. So I'm going to highlight them all and then go into bounce in place. I'm going to include the audio tail. I'm going to include volume and pan automation. I'm going to turn my normalize off, and the sources I'm going to leave. Besides that, everything can remain the same. Those are very important, though, that those parameters are set. Once you click OK, it's going to bounce everything into place. Okay, so once you have your sample ready like this, what you're going to do is expand it like so. Let's play it back to make sure everything sounds okay. Great. So now we could start exporting this stuff into our folders. So I'm going to right click this and I'm going to export and then export as audio file. Inside my Logic folder, I'm going to create a new folder and I'm going to call this sample pack tutorial. So I'm basically, that'll be the name of the sample pack. And inside of that, I'm going to create a new folder. And now I'm going to think about a name for this one. So I'm going to call this one Vibes. I'm going to indicate that it's 78 BPM. Also, I'm going to indicate what I wrote this in, which was G sharp minor. And then once in that folder, I'm going to also make sure that my normalize is off. I'm going to include the audio tail, include volume and pan automation, and then I'm going to name the sample. So we call this Vibes, which was at 78 BPM. I'm basically naming it the same thing I named the folder. And this is how you're going to start structuring your samples. That was in G sharp minor. Okay, now that that's exported, what we're going to do is start exporting the track outs for this. So I'm going to solo out all the track outs and basically mute the single track that we exported earlier. Let's make sure all of these are highlighted like so. Let's go to File, Export, and then I'm going to do 6 tracks as audio files like this. And these are going to be our stems. So I'm going to name that folder Stems. Basically, what I'm doing now is exporting all the individual instruments into separate files so that the producer that I'm selling this pack to or that I'm giving it to has the ability of taking out sounds or only using certain parts of the sample. These parameters up here are still the same. We're saving this in a waveform, and the bit depth is 24-bit, which is great. All right, so I can export all my stems. Okay, so when it's finished exporting all my stems, the last thing I'm going to do is basically just export the MIDI that I used. So I'm going to export MIDI files, export as MIDI file, and I'm going to just go back to that same folder, create a new folder, and call this MIDI, and we'll call this keys 1. Right click this, export as MIDI. This will be keys 2. And the only variation I have here is the basses. So I could join them like this, just export it as one MIDI file, makes it easier. Just call it bass 1. So now we've exported the sample itself, which all the sounds are contained in, the individual stems, which are the individual tracks or the individual instruments tracked out by themselves, and then lastly, the MIDI as well. So I opened up the new folder where my sample pack tutorial was exported into. We have our first sample here, which is the Vibe 78 BPM G sharp minor. If I expand this, you have now the MIDI, the stems, as well as the individual sample. A good thing to do would be to import all of these sounds back into Logic, using the MIDI 2 and making sure that everything exported correctly. So this is about half of the stuff that you need to do in order to start making your sample packs. The next thing you have to think about is artwork. You have to think about what you're going to name it, how are you going to promote it. Most importantly, if you're going to use this as a secondary revenue stream, you have to figure out how to sell these or where to sell them on. So I'm going to make another video that discusses how to make the artwork for these sample packs, as well as sites that you could possibly use to sell these on. I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. I definitely enjoyed making it. If you have any questions, you know what to do. Put those in the comments section. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button so you're notified anytime I upload some new content. Be dope if you take the time to check out my Instagram. It's at cjbeatznyc. I think that's pretty much it for today. My name is cjbeatz, and I'm out for now. Peace.